Thank you all for being here today. I'm Rachel Techo Duarte, an EDD student at CSU Bakersfield, and welcome to my roundtable discussion. Today, we will be speaking with Professor Charles McQuarrie. He's out in the audience. Would you like to come join us at the table?
Oh, I'd
Professor
be delighted
McQuarrie
to.
is
Yes.
a CSU Bakersfield English professor and the recommender of the book Future Presence: How Virtual Reality is Changing Human Connection, Intimacy, and the Limits of Our Ordinary Life by Peter Rubin. This book was published in 2019, and it's a very relevant study in virtual reality, which we're actually utilizing here today. In fact, Professor McQuarrie, you're currently in Eureka, California, correct?
I am indeed.
And I'm here in Bakersfield, California, and we're both using VR to meet and record this virtually. What we're utilizing the space, AltSpace. It's a virtual reality platform that provides talk show rooms, performance rooms, and all kinds of different virtual environments to be in. So do you have any questions for me here today?
I have a couple of questions. The first one is, I recommended the book to you, and I think I got a lot out of it, but I was curious to know what you got out of it. What significance did you find in Peter Rubin's book?
So really what this book focuses on that I find interesting, of course, is virtual reality. And what Rubin does is he actually begins by defining what virtual reality is. And I think that's important because a lot of people, when you think virtual reality, they're not sure where to go with it or what that actually means. So as Rubin defines it, he breaks it down in a very way that general audience can read it, as well as a way that's very scholarly. So he defines it as an artificial environment. That would be something like this. This is an artificial environment. It's meant to look like a talk show host background. It's immersive enough to convince us that we're actually inside. So utilizing the VR like you and I are, we both have goggles, and it's simulating the idea that I'm actually sitting on this chair and I can grab that mic and speak into it. You're sitting next to me, our cameraman's in front of us. So it has this very immersive feel that we're actually inside. The definition also is simply enough for everyday readers to understand it. Rubin is a senior editor and a technical media expert. And what he does is he really, rather than talking about implementing his own study, he collects and analyzes study, and it's very up to date, and it's great information on background as a background source for virtual reality. But also what he really focuses on, and the most significant part, is the presence of, as he calls it, the absolute foundation of virtual reality. And in virtual reality, as he states, it's the absolute foundation of connection with yourself, with an idea, with another human being, such as we are connecting, and even the connection of artificial intelligence. And so with those, what he says is what he's looking at in this book is to actually see how we react in it and what that reaction means for how we relate to each other now and in the future. And what's most significant about this is being in COVID-19 and having, as a professor myself, having to teach distant learning, the presence in virtual reality exceeds that of Canvas, right? So really the idea of presence is really significant in Peter Rubin's book. What he talks about is feeling a connection that's in a more meaningful way. One thing he says that it's even more superior to reading a book or watching something on YouTube, and that's something that I can really relate to as a college professor, because some of my students, I don't even know who they are. They don't know who I am. We haven't seen each other. Most of them don't even know what I look like, right? So even here, being here, you get a sense of, I can be anything I want in virtual reality, but I try to look as close to my real image as I can, and it creates a presence. So
Right.
that to me is what the significance of his book is, what it's about. Do you have one more question or two more questions that I can answer?
I have a small, short observation. It's just that a difference I noticed between VR and something like Zoom is we share a space together here. It's very different from Zoom in that way, isn't it? So we have more sense of presence. But my second question is about relevance. How's this relevant to your dissertation, to your research?
Well, it's very relevant. So thank you for providing this book as, recommending this book as a leader. it's very relevant in that my research does focus on using virtual reality as a way to enhance student learning, and I think this would be very significant for the time that we're in COVID. So it's about presence and using virtual reality as a means to provide experiential, so it's very relevant.